When dawn finally came, it wasn't soft or gentle. It came like a revelation. The first threads of light cut through the forest canopy, stretching long fingers of gold across the moss and roots. My eyes blinked open, gritty from half sleep, my body stiff from the cold. I sat up slowly, my back screaming in protest. And there he was. The horse, still standing, still watching. His coat glowed with dew, steam rising faintly from his nostrils in the cool morning air. I whispered, "You stayed." It felt absurd to say out loud, but the words caught in my throat, thick with gratitude. I had survived the night, and not alone. Hours passed. The trail twisted, broke apart, and reappeared. I wasn't even sure it was a trail anymore. My legs ached, my stomach growled, but every time despair pressed in, I'd glance back, see that broad shape moving steadily behind me, and keep walking. The silence wasn't as crushing anymore. The woods still groaned and whispered, but they weren't mocking me. They were simply alive. The horse would stop sometimes, head lifting, ears twitching, then he'd move again. It was as though he was checking the air, making sure we weren't in danger. And in those moments, I started to trust him. By midday, my strength faltered. I slumped against a tree, sipping the last of my water. My hands shook as I unwrapped the granola bar, dividing it into tiny bites, trying to trick my body into believing it was more. The horse wandered closer, lowering his head, sniffing at me. His eyes were dark, calm, unblinking. "You hungry too?" I asked softly. I held out a crumb. He didn't take it, just snorted, as if amused. Then he turned away, pulling at grass, as if to say, "You need it more than I do." My throat tightened. I laughed weakly. "You're smarter than me, aren't you?" As the day stretched on, exhaustion and dehydration clawed at me. My thoughts tangled, drifting between hope and despair. At one point, I imagined I saw David walking ahead, his plaid shirt bright between the trees. I stumbled after him, calling his name, until the vision dissolved into mist. My knees buckled, and I sank into the dirt. That's when the horse nudged me. His muzzle pressed against my shoulder, firm, insistent. I looked up into those deep, steady eyes, and in them I saw something I hadn't felt since before I lost my way: strength. I whispered, "Okay, I'll keep going." And I did. The hours blurred. My boots blistered, my feet raw, my lips cracked from thirst. But the horse stayed with me, steady as breath, patient as the trees. When I stumbled, he nudged me forward. When I faltered, he slowed. It was as if he had decided, I will not leave her. And somewhere in my broken, weary heart, I decided the same. I will not give up. By late afternoon, the forest began to change. The trees thinned. The ground sloped downward. I smelled water, fresh, crisp, real. My pace quickened. I stumbled toward the sound, my hope igniting. And then I saw it. A stream, wide and glittering, sunlight bouncing off the ripples. I dropped to my knees, plunging my hands into the icy current, drinking greedily, splashing my face. The relief was electric, coursing through me like life itself. The horse lowered his head, drinking beside me. For a moment, we were just two creatures at the water's edge, surviving together. I laughed, wet and wild, tears mixing with the stream. "We did it! We found water!" The horse flicked his ears, as if agreeing. And for the first time, I thought, maybe we'd find more. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. I thought finding the stream meant safety, but the forest, I would learn, always has another test waiting. For a short while, life felt bearable again. I drank until my stomach hurt, filled my empty bottle, even washed the dirt from my arms and face. The horse grazed nearby, tails swishing lazily, the picture of calm. For a fragile, fleeting moment, I let myself believe, we'll be okay now. But then the wind shifted. It came in a sudden, strong gust, snapping branches, rippling the stream's surface. The horse lifted his head fast, ears pricked forward, body tense. I froze. And then I heard it. Thunder. Low, rolling, ominous. I tilted my head back and saw the sky, what little of it I could glimpse through the canopy. Dark clouds boiled in, swallowing the last patches of blue. My heart sank. A storm was coming. Rain in the forest isn't like rain at home. At home, you close a window, you pull a blanket over your lap, you watch it safely from inside. Here, there was no inside, no roof, no safe space. Just me, the horse, and the trees. The first drops fell fat and cold, splattering my skin. Within minutes, it became a downpour. Sheets of rain hammered the ground, soaking me through, blurring the world into streaks of gray. I scrambled to find shelter, clutching my backpack. The horse followed, shaking his mane, water running off his back in rivulets. We found a shallow overhang beneath a rocky ledge, barely wide enough for me to huddle under. The horse couldn't fit. He stood outside, rain cascading off his body, muscles trembling with each thunderclap. I shouted over the storm, "Come closer!" But he stayed where he was, steady, unflinching, watching me. The hours dragged. The storm grew violent. Lightning cracked the sky, bright and merciless. Each strike lit up the forest, carving shadows sharp across the ground. I hugged my knees, shivering, flinching with every boom of thunder. My mind spiraled. What if the stream floods? What if a tree falls? What if I don't make it through this night? And then, through the roar of rain, I heard something worse. Movement. Not the horse. Something heavier. The sound of branches snapping, underbrush crashing, closer. I pressed my hand to my mouth to silence my breathing. My heart felt like a drum against my ribs. Then, through the curtain of rain, I saw it. A shape, hulking and dark. At first, I thought it was a person. Relief sparked. Maybe a ranger, a hiker, a rescuer. But no. The shape lumbered forward on 4 legs, massive shoulders rolling. A bear. My throat closed with terror. The bear sniffed the air, head swinging side to side. It was searching, hungry, curious. The horse let out a sharp, piercing whinny. He stamped the ground, ears flat, body taut like a drawn bow. The bear swung its head toward him. I wanted to scream, "Run!" but the sound lodged in my throat. The horse took a step forward instead, challenging. His body blocked the narrow ledge where I crouched. His breath came harsh and loud, but he didn't back down. The bear huffed, low and guttural, and edged closer. My nails dug into the rock beneath me. My entire body shook with helplessness. And then, just as the bear lurched forward, the horse reared. His front legs shot into the air, hooves flashing. He came down hard, striking the ground, the sound cracking through the storm like a gunshot. The bear jolted back, startled. The horse lunged forward again, another furious whinny tearing from his throat. His entire body radiated defiance, wild and unyielding. The bear hesitated. Then, with a grunt, it turned, lumbering back into the trees, swallowed by rain and shadow. I collapsed, sobbing. The storm still raged, but all I could hear was the pounding of my heart, the rasp of my breath. The horse stood panting, chest heaving, rain coursing down his flanks. He turned his head toward me, and for a moment, just a moment, I swore his eyes softened. He had protected me, not by accident, not by chance, but by choice. I whispered through trembling lips, "You're not just a horse. You're my guardian." And in that moment, for the first time since I stepped onto that cursed trail, I didn't feel like prey anymore. I felt like I had a companion, a protector, a friend. When the storm finally passed, the forest was unrecognizable. Trees dripped heavy with water. The stream roared, swollen and violent. Mist clung low to the ground. But the air felt cleaner. The terror had broken into something new. Hope. I reached out with shaking hands, pressing them against the horse's damp neck. My voice cracked as I whispered, "Whatever happens next, we do it together." Morning after the storm, the forest didn't look like the same place I had entered days ago. The trees dripped with heavy raindrops that fell like clock ticks. The air was damp, swollen with the scent of pine and earth. Every step squelched in mud, sucking at my boots. But what struck me most was the stream. The quiet ribbon of water that had saved me yesterday was now unrecognizable. A swollen, raging river, frothing white with power. It cut straight across my path, and if there was a trail on the other side, I couldn't see it. I stood at the edge, my stomach twisting. Crossing it looked impossible. The current snarled, dragging branches and logs in its grip. One wrong step, and I'd be pulled under. The horse moved beside me, lowering his head to drink as if the torrent was nothing. His calm was infuriating and reassuring all at once. I muttered, "Of course you're not scared. You're built for this." But me? I was just a woman who had thought a 4-mile loop would cure her loneliness. And now here I was, alone except for him, facing a river that wanted me gone. I paced the bank, scanning for a safer crossing. Upstream, the current looked worse. Boulders churned the water into whirlpools. Downstream, the banks narrowed, but a fallen tree stretched halfway across. Its trunk was slick, mossy, but it was something. My chest tightened. Could I balance across? The horse followed me as I moved downstream, hooves steady in the mud. His eyes never left me, like he knew exactly what I was considering. I muttered, "Of course you're not scared. You're built for this." But me? I was just a woman who had thought a 4-mile loop would cure her loneliness. And now here I was, alone, except for him, facing a river that wanted me gone. But when I stepped onto the log, testing its slick surface, panic jolted through me. The water roared below, deafening. My knees shook. The horse whinnied sharply, pawing the ground. I froze, staring at him. His body was tense, ears penned back, head tossing. It was clear he didn't want me to cross this way. But what other choice did I have? I tried again, one foot in front of the other. The log wobbled under my weight. My arms flailed, heart slamming against my ribs. Halfway across, my boot slipped. I screamed, clutching the log, scraping my palms raw on moss and bark. My legs dangled inches above the water, the current roaring, promising to tear me away if I fell. The horse neighed furiously, stomping. He moved back upstream, pacing, then stepped into the water. My jaw dropped. He waded in, slow but sure, muscles straining as the river shoved against him. The water reached his chest, then his shoulders, but he kept going, planting each hoof with determination. I clung to the log, staring as he made it to the other side. He shook his mane, let out a piercing call, and turned to face me. It was like he was saying, "This way, follow me." Terror squeezed my chest, but something stronger rose beneath it. Trust. If he could make it, maybe I could too. I crawled back off the log, hands bleeding, and stumbled upstream. The horse waited, ears flicking, as if he believed I could do it. I stepped into the water. It was ice cold, a shock that stole my breath. The current shoved at me, wild and merciless. I gritted my teeth, forcing one foot forward, then another, fighting the pull. The horse waded closer, bracing himself against the current. His presence steadied me, as if his strength could transfer into my bones. Halfway across, the river nearly swept me off my feet. I screamed, arms flailing, but the horse lunged forward, his muzzle shoved against my shoulder, steadying me, guiding me. I clung to his mane, sobbing, as he pulled me through the last stretch. And then my boots hit solid ground. We made it. I collapsed to my knees, coughing, shivering, water streaming off me. The horse shook himself, sending a spray in every direction, then lowered his head and nudged me gently. I buried my face against his wet neck, laughing through tears. "You saved me again." We rested on the far bank, the forest quiet except for the fading roar of the river. My body trembled from exhaustion, but my heart beat with something new: faith. This horse wasn't just wandering. He had purpose. He had led me across. And I decided then, wherever he went, I would follow. Hours later, when the sun dipped lower, I saw it. Proof I wasn't entirely lost. A sign. Not a full trail marker, not a neat board with arrows. Just a scrap of man-made presence. A rusty tin can, wedged between roots. Trash. Ugly, ordinary trash. But to me, it was gold. Because where there was trash, there had been people. I dropped to my knees, clutching it, tears burning my eyes. "We're close," I whispered. The horse flicked his ears, watching me. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I believed I might actually make it out alive. Not because I was strong, but because I wasn't alone.